And Mr. Grant, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. How you doing?
Good, TJ. How's it been, man? How's everything going?
Things are going good here. I got a baby girl on the way. Big fight coming up. Things are going good.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
yeah.
Tell us what's going on with you. You made a lot of waves recently in the lightweight division, and with your most recent win over Matt Wyman, you kind of really put a stamp on your dominance at 155 and opened a lot of people's eyes that you're the real deal and you're ready for these contender type fights. And I want to know, what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I mean, it's been a slow process, really. Just UFC, fighting at 170. I couldn't really be the fighter that I just felt like I was undersized and I couldn't really, showcase what I was all about. And I was really undersized. I wasn't really, running because I didn't want to fight with the big boys. I mean, I fought with the big boys and, they were just too big. So, I made the smart decision in my career just to go down and, I've had some tough fights at 155, but it's been good. I'm glad I made the switch. And, I feel like right now, I'm coming into my prime and, looking to make a statement here coming up.
Okay, now you're pegged to fight Gray Maynard at UFC 160. This is a two-time title challenger. He is at the very elite of your division. And what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm really excited when I found out I was fighting Gray. To get the UFC offered me Jim Miller right after my fight with Matt Wyman, and I had to turn that down just because my baby girl is going to be born this month, and I didn't want to have the two, be at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I got to miss one, I'm going to miss the fight, that's for sure. And wasn't sure I was going to be able to get like the big fight with a guy like Gray. I didn't know if his name was even on the list. He was the only guy other than Jim Miller that was ahead of me in the rankings. And I'm really happy the UFC. They think highly of me to put me in a fight like this. And I'm just going to go out there and fight him just like everyone else. And I'm not afraid of the guy. I respect what he's done and him as a fighter. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bring war to him.
So 155 is kind of log jammed right now. The Ben Henderson, the champ, he's fighting Gilbert, and then on top of that, you've got Pettis fighting Jose Aldo, and if Aldo wins, he's supposed to get a shot at the title. When you look at the lay of the land, assuming you beat Gray Maynard, where do you think you fall into that picture, and what do you think of the contenders that are all sitting there waiting in line right now?
With Frankie Edgar left the 55 division, and Pettis has gone down as well for the title shot, and Aldo will be coming up. So it's up to the UFC, but I'll trade two guys going down for one guy coming up for sure. It's a good thing, because my goal is to get closer to the title and fight for it. But Gray's right up there. A win over him, I'm not sure where that would put me. Like I said, I'm ready to fight whoever. I'm not afraid of anybody. I got a tough test ahead of me, but I also know it's a business and selling fights, and I haven't fought on the main card of a pay-per-view yet. So I got to reach the masses. So I'm just looking to make a big statement in this fight. Come out there and let the fans know who I am, and at the same time, I'm going to fight my fight and just let it all out there.
When you look at Gray Maynard and his skill set, you fought a lot of different guys, and when most people talk about Gray, they talk about he's got power in his hands and he's an excellent wrestler, Division I wrestler, but your resume is chock full of guys that are just like that. Johnny Hendricks, strong wrestler. Dong Hyun Kim's an excellent grappler. Evan Dunham is excellent grappler. Do you think that is Gray presenting different challenges to you? You think that you've seen before? Because, like I said, you have a lot of experience. 25 fights. More than double the amount of professional fights Gray has.
Yeah, he definitely poses a lot of issues. I mean, he's got devastating power, and he is an elite wrestler. He's not just a good wrestler. He's and he's also fought 5-round fights. He's fought the best, and every fighter poses different troubles and different problems, and that's just like training camp. You always prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and we're preparing for the best Gray Maynard, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to have some new tricks up in my sleeve. Hopefully I get to show, and I'm sure he's going to be a different fighter. He's had a lot of time off, so I mean, assuming he's went back and corrected some of his mistakes in his past fights. I'm looking to do the same. But I mean, when you get out there, we're going to go out there and we're going to throw down. Hopefully he's willing to mix it up with me, and if we go to the ground, that's great too. I mean, I've been on the ground in every single one of my fights pretty much, so I feel comfortable there. And one thing I can say is that I'm not going to be intimidated. You know what I mean? I'm ready to rock, and I'm going to be looking to knock him out or submit him.
Amazing. TJ, in your last fight against Matt Wiman, I've always been a fan of yours, but I've also always been a fan of Matt Wiman's. He was on, my boss's, BJ's. He was on his season of The Ultimate Fighter, and I've kind of seen Matt as always one of the most underrated guys in the lightweight division. Just a really good technical fighter, and you really dominated him. And in that fight, while I always knew you were talented, it really opened up my eyes to your potential. And I'm wondering, what did you think of that fight? I mean, you finished him in the first round, and you completely dominated it from bell to bell. Was that your real coming out party? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean that fight had the makings of 3 rounds of a grueling fight, whether it be a slugfest or just this battle on the ground scrambling. And I know that Matt he didn't get to show what he's all about that night. I know that. Like, I mean, you can say I fought a great fight, and I did my job. And sometimes when you do that, he didn't get to show. But he's an excellent fighter. I've always been a fan of him myself. My very first fight in the UFC, I remember him and Sam Stout stole the show, and he's had a ton of fights, ton of battles, and I knew that was where his strong point was just getting it into mixing it up. And I took the more technical approach, and I was just tried to be devastating and be elusive at the same time, frustrate him a bit, and it all worked out. I mean, I could sit here and say like that's exactly what we hoped for, and it really was, but how often does that happen? So, I was fortunate to get the win, and I was really happy, and nothing but respect for Matt Wiman.
Okay. Now, in my experience in watching your career develop since you've entered the UFC, you've always been a real humble guy in wins and in losses. But what do you do to catch the audience's appeal? More so, like you have guys like Chael Sonnen and a Dan Hardy, who we just had on the show, who they're really good at talking, and they pretty much ask for what they want. But as TJ Grant, what's your style? How do you do this to kind of break through?
For me, I'm just myself. Like, I'm not going to be anybody I'm not. I mean, that then I'll come off as fake. I mean, be pretty transparent at that point. So I'm just going to be myself. I feel like my fighting style is exciting. I don't like. I go out there and I compete, but same time, to me, it's a competition, but it's a fight. Like, I'm trying to break that guy, and I'm trying to impose my will, all those things. I'm not going out there to win 3 rounds. I'm going out there to knock him out or submit him, and if I win 3 rounds, great. But I hope just my fighting style alone is gonna, that's what I try to bring to the table. I try to be a fighter, every day of my life, and if I went out there and trash talked and stuff like that, it's not really my style. So I'm not really going to get into it, but I'm sure at some point somebody's going to piss me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, TJ, as a jiu-jitsu guy, I love watching your fights and your highlight reels. It's just full of like ridiculous transitions and submissions, and you're just attacking. Where do you how did you develop this crazy jiu-jitsu game for mixed martial arts? Like, who have you trained with, and how did take us back through because you have your resume is just full of submissions. You've taken a lot of arms home. So just kind of curious about how all that came together in your career.
Well, I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was like 15. My older brother got me into it. He boxed pretty high level, and my mom just said, like, you guys got to stop wrestling around in the house, take him to the gym. And I started training, and I wrestled in high school. But it wasn't like after high school I started, I worked at a pizza shop, and I was training jiu-jitsu as much as I could, and I've done training with a lot of guys, man. Me and Scott McLean, like, he started Fit Plus, and I was the first one there, and through that gym, I mean, we've brought in tons of high level grapplers to really, hone our skills, and I've done training, a lot of top guys like Shane Rice, George Grigel, Leo Santos, Fagny, Hobson Moore, our jiu-jitsu instructor. So I've done a lot of training. It's been a long time. But I mean, I feel like I got into the sport in 1999, and I've been a fan since 1994. Ever since I started my jiu-jitsu, I was always thinking, like, okay, this guy might punch me in the face, so I got to be ready for that. Like, I never thought about. I mean, I like jiu-jitsu in the gi. I train it all the time, but I'm always thinking also, like, I got to be ready to fight, and that's always been my goal, and that's always been my approach. So I like no gi as well, but I do it all, and I've been I keep a humble approach to my training. I always try to prepare for the worst, and never get too high with the highs or too low with the lows.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too. Actually, in terms of grappling, do you train in the gi a lot, or you don't, or is that part of the mixed? Like, do you think that you need to train in the gi for mixed martial arts?
You know what? I think you should. I mean, some guys don't. I don't think you have to, but I think for me, like, I do enjoy the gi. I think it's challenging. If it poses a challenge, I'm a martial artist. I train Muay Thai. I train pure Muay Thai. I train pure boxing. I train pure wrestling. Like, I mean, so why not train pure jiu-jitsu in the gi? I split it up, though, you know what I mean? But, I always at least get the gi on once or twice a week, every week. And go ahead. Sorry.
So what do you think about, like, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu world champions that come into mixed martial arts. It's not like while you're an excellent grappler, it's not like you came in here with like a 5-time like ADCC winner. So why is it that a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys that are like a 4-time world champion and they just struggle on the ground, whereas your grappling is completely suited for mixed martial arts, where you can just transition from spot to spot, throwing strikes and attacking at the same time?
You know what? That's a good question. Like I said, like, I've always envisioned myself fighting. I hate losing. I hate being dominated. It doesn't matter, like, what it is. So, I mean, when I'm on the ground, like, I'm not going to give him that shot. Like, if he gets me to the good one, like, I'll give him respect because, he earned it, right? And that's just been my approach. But, I feel like I have good coaching. I feel like I said, like, you got to be brought down to earth, man. Like, sometimes people don't. I'm not saying, I'm not going to point any fingers, but, like, some guys, they're really good at grappling and they don't want to hear anybody's opinions on stuff because, I mean, they know it all or whatever. I mean, you got to be able to, you got to always be growing, and you got to have, you got to have people around you that you respect their opinions and aren't scared to tell you what's what. And you got to want to get better, man. And that's the way I treat it. I always try to, I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying, at the same time, I'm always trying to win. When I'm out there fighting, I'm not letting that guy get that shot, man. Like, I ain't quitting for nothing, you know what I mean? So that's just my goal, and I can't stop, Some guys, I know them, they train, and, I go at it. Like, when I get in there training, like, it's hard work for me, That's why I got to make sure at times, like, I got to tone it back and take my rest, too, because when I'm in there, it's hard work.
Let me ask you this, though. One last jiu-jitsu question, or one more jiu-jitsu question is, you were bringing up, like, all these different guys, you train with, and Coach Hobson Moore. Who is the best guy you've ever rolled with?
I'm going to send people probably.
When you were done, you were just thinking, damn, that was just ridiculous.
Hobbs and Mora, yeah. Hobbs and Mora, and then, I mean, I don't want to but I mean, it's you look
not
at
to be not
like we're Novia now guys, so I mean they're gonna say the same thing. Hobson's the man, I roll Hobson, he's phenomenal. Got all kinds of good guys, man. Like Leo and his brother Bagney are top notch. I roll with so many good guys, man. But the king is Hobson. He's little too, man. He's little and he's so wiry, and Jesus, he's good, man. He's good.
Excellent.
Amazing. Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
TJ, here's what I want to know. I'm not the grappling aficionado like George's, but here's what I'm really interested in is this fight with Gray Maynard coming up. Now, obviously, you plan on victory. Okay. So after you get your hand raised in this fight, do you ask for special concessions from the UFC to give you like a top 3 guy? I mean, Gray Maynard's already a top 3 guy, right? But do you ask for another one? Do you ask for a title shot? What's your mindset going in to this fight once you get your hand raised?
I bring the same approach I brought to it every time. I mean, I was fortunate to get Gray Maynard, but I feel like I kept my mouth shut. I got in there. I fought hard, and I did well. So my goal is to go out there and beat Gray Maynard. I'd love to make him say uncle, but I'll take any win I can. And you know what, man? Like I don't think I'm better than or too good for anybody. You know what I mean? Like I just want to fight somebody who's gonna make me further. If I'm number 3 and this fight gets me to number 3 or number 2 in the world, and they have to have a title fight in between. Well, I want my fight to be, somebody who's going to get me that next title shot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't care who it is. But if that's not the case, man, I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to fight. I want to fight. I want to fight somebody who's going to come out and, let it all hang out there. You know what I mean? We'll put on a good show. But, I ain't looking past Gray Maynard at all. He's a first class warrior. He's done a lot, and I got my hands full.
Absolutely, I agree. Gray's a tough guy. Since you're moved to light, but you haven't lost a fight, and I know the obvious the obvious answer to this question is going to be yes. But I want to know: are you pleased with your move to lightweight, and are you happy you made the choice to move down?
Yes. Do you want me to elaborate? Yeah,
Yes.
When I was fighting at 170, every single time I fought, I'd get on the scale, and then I'd be thinking like, man, this guy's gonna be 190 tomorrow. And I was like a chubby kid, I was like 182 sometimes when I fought, sometimes less than 180, and fucking fighting in the UFC at 170 pounds against the monsters. Ricardo Almeida really because he was so technically good. It was like he negated my technique, and he was so big. I was and then I was glad I made the switch, man. They're so densely muscled at 170, and at 55, I feel like I can just I can get into scrambles. If a guy takes me down, it's not the end of the world, and that was kind of my Achilles heel early on, is guys just taking me down and being on top of me, and when you're giving up 15, 20 pounds of solid muscle in a fight, I mean it's tough to overcome that, especially when you're fighting at the highest level. And I wouldn't even be open to catch or going up and down again. I'm staying at 155. It's my home for sure.
Okay, so here's a situation that I kind of am really close to home with. You're obviously on BJPenn.com radio. I work for Mr. BJ Penn. I've worked for him for a little bit over 6 years now, I think. And
yep.
He's a real kind of stubborn guy. He believes that technique supersedes size and strength, right? And we've seen in his last outings at 170 pounds that it hasn't really gone his way. But I think anybody who's a fan of mixed martial arts or who knows what BJ Penn's about, we know that he's one of the most talented fighters on the planet. In your experience, is the weight class difference so much that the 155, for somebody that's built like you, that's built like BJ, that doesn't give up the size advantage at lightweight, is it really that much of a difference?
Well, I mean, when I think it is. BJ's a phenomenal fighter. I've always been a huge fan. I don't think that BJ should have ever left 155, but he went up and he did well at 170, and he won titles, and he accomplished a lot. But I mean, I feel like the sport's just evolved, and now everybody. I mean, you're fighting guys that are not only like they're getting technically better, but they're finding ways within the rules to compete and win. Using the cage, using their size, using the time limits, and I'm not knocking that. It's a sport, and if that's the way it's going to be. But I feel like there's weight classes for a reason. You know what I mean? And I feel like props to him though, man. He went up there, he fought Rory, and he fought all these great fighters and done well. But I really feel like BJ Penn, could be a force still 155. But that's just what I think. You know what I mean?
Just veering off this, but kind of also staying within the same realm. What is your opinion on, you have really big guys in weight classes cutting a lot of weight, but there's a lot of guys that are using TRT. Is that a crutch for guys to keep their weight on and keep their size on, and also recover well? And have that advantage going into the cage, or is it, no problem, it's within the confines of the rules, no big deal?
I mean, I don't know. Like, all I know is my personal experience just training. There's not enough days in the week, you know what I mean? Like, you want to train to be a mixed martial artist, well, you got to cover all the bases. I mean, there's so much to learn, and to be a good grappler and be a good striker and to be a good, well-conditioned athlete, and there's just really not enough time. Your body just can't recover in order to, really draw. You got to. That's why you got to. Like, I feel like I train as much as I can all year round, because your body can get burnt out really easy. And I think it's unfair. If people do steroids, and that's one thing. Like, I completely am against that 100%. And the TRT, I mean, I don't think I would ever even think about taking it. I mean. To me, it's just not fair. You know what I mean? Especially guys that have been tested in the past and failed drug tests. I feel like, because I mean, if they say that, that can cause you to have, your body to stop producing the same amount of testosterone. Well, I mean, that's kind of the repercussions that you almost deserve for using in the past. That's the way I feel about it.
Is it along the same? Is it along the same lines of because the two you hear about, it seems like every other week you're hearing about it is either somebody on TRT or somebody busted for smoking pot, smoking marijuana. Is there a line between the two, or is it both? There's no room for either.
Well, you know what? I mean, as far as the pot, like, I don't care if people smoke weed. To me, it's like, I'm from Canada. I mean, it's pretty liberal up here. People smoke it, and it's not that big a deal. But it doesn't really help you. But I just wonder what people's logic is. Why do you test positive for something that's banned? You know what I mean? Why don't you just not smoke it for like 4 weeks or whatever you got to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get caught? And how do you get caught 2 or 3? Like, Matt Riddle got caught multiple times. He's had like his best performances. He won 2 of his last 3 fights. He got overturned. You know what I mean? Like, you got to use your head a little bit.
So basically, if you're at least gonna do it, you
don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
Yeah, it's weed, man. Like, smoke it and then stop smoking it before your fight, and you're good. Like, some people, like, they test to the point where, like, they must have smoked it the day before or something. Like, I guess, like, some people, I mean, anxiety or something, maybe you smoke it. I guess that's what they got to do, but I don't know. It's not for me.
So,
I mean, I wouldn't smoke the stuff anyways. I just can't. I can't function on it, man. Say no to drugs.
Well, there you go. You heard it right there, ladies and gentlemen, from TJ. If you're gonna smoke it, at least pass the test. Okay. At least pass the fucking test. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, TJ. We appreciate your time. You have Twitter, Facebook you want to plug before we get you off?
Yeah, at TJ _Grant.
You heard it there.
Grant for Twitter, and just hit me up on Facebook. TJ Grant, man.
All right, guys. You heard it there from TJ. TJ, I appreciate your time. Want to wish you the best of luck with Gray Maynard coming up, and hopefully we can get you back on, right after that, so we can, we can hear the winner's speech. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Give me a buzz, man. I'm down anytime.
All right. Thank you again, TJ. I appreciate it. You guys follow him on Twitter at TJ Grant.
Thank you, TJ. Thanks for your time, brother.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Later.
TJ Grant, ladies and gentlemen. Man, that's going to be a good fight. Good contrast in styles. Again, there's so many fights I haven't really begun to wrap my head around this specific one, but as we're talking to him, I'm kind of picturing it in my head, and I'm like, man, if Gray takes him down, and there's a good chance that TJ takes him down. I mean, I don't. So.
No, I mean, the grappling range between these two is going to be very interesting. Now, I think what we saw from TJ was some really good technical striking when he fought Matt Wiman, but Gray holds that power. You know what I mean? We've seen him drop Frankie Edgar. We've seen him drop some guys. So that fight's really tough to call.
It is. He does have Gray has that kind of power that changes the complexion of a fight very quickly. He clips you, and then all of a sudden, the round goes to fucking shit for you. So really quickly. So it'll be interesting to see, but where I want the fight to happen. I want to see them. I want to see TJ out-grapple him, or I'd like to see some jiu-jitsu transitions. I'm not saying I want hey, I want TJ to 100% to be Gray Maynard, but I'd like to see some exchanges between the two, because Gray is a phenomenal wrestler and grappler. That he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time also, and so is TJ. And I think that's where two grapplers, let them grapple. Why do you want to see two grapplers box?
Right.
So that's just my opinion. But all right, either way, it's going to be a fun fight, and we'll see. Coming up.
What I'd like to see from TJ, and what I was hoping to hear from him tonight, was a little bit of bravado. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of I want the freaking title shot. I want to beat Gray Maynard down, and I want to show that I'm the best fighter in the world. But this guy's so humble, man. We just couldn't get that out of him.
I just don't. I think he's just going to go out there and just keep on winning, and he's just going to force himself into the, into that position where you're going to have to talk about him, and that's another approach to doing it. You did bring up the Chael Sonnen approach. That's just not his thing, but as we're talking to him and he opens up, you can see that there is a lot of personality there, and I think you just had to give him the platform to do it, to be himself, and I think you will actually see it. I bet his teammates don't think that,
True.
So, but yeah. Anyway, good talking to TJ, and it'll be a fun fight.